Hello everybody and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program 2, where we are currently just about done with our turn here. We just need to get a little further with it, but I want to warp us on forward now. So we're about, we want to warp it forward again. There we go, we're about 3 minutes. We can actually warp forward even further than that. 30 seconds, that's more like it. So now we should be able to get turned, and this is of course going to be our home in transfer over to Moho. And I want to be quite accurate with our home in transfer, if we can. I want to get this pretty much bang on where it's at right now, although this is going to change by the time we get here in 105 days, so it doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be pretty close. So let's go a little forward here. 3, 2, 1, mark. And let's bring this on in. So I'm going to warp us forward. We're going to be out of fuel here shortly. So yeah, it'll automatically decrease that time warp. I actually want to go a little further forward. It did it again. Yes, I'm aware that we're close to being out of fuel. This is fine. And we're going to ditch that stage here in just a moment. We're going to have about 5 minutes of burn time on our nuclear engine after this is burnt out. Okay. So there we go. Let's warp forward on this. And we'll just see what this ends up looking like. Okay. Coming out of the warp, we are about 20 seconds away from this burn. Or rather, away from the burn ending. And that's looking reasonably good so far. 14 seconds remaining in the burn. No encounter as of yet. But that's expected. So we've got about 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Where are we? Okay. We're a little off. Let's bring this on in. You know what? This is good enough. We'll call that fine. So that's wonderful. At this point, I want to warp on forward to about here. So let's go. Around we come. We're going to have to warp forward again, of course. And probably one more time beyond that. Yep. Okay. So we'll warp to here. And that's absolutely fine. At this point, I'd like to circularize around here. So we're going to do a braking burn. We'll probably have to do this a bit early because this is going to be a pretty long burn. And we'll just bring this right on around. That is actually a landing burn, and we do not want that. I would like to bring us to a periapsis of, I don't know, maybe around 20 kilometers would be fine. Something along the lines of this. Now, our inclination is not necessarily phenomenal, but we can change that. We definitely could change that. I'm wondering, yeah, changing our timing here is not going to have any effect whatsoever on our inclination. So this seems okay as far as the periapsis goes. Let's align to that burn. That's going to be 2,500 meters per second. Okay, fair enough. And we don't want to be warping while we turn. Unfortunately, that doesn't work in KSP2. So that is fine. And as far as the Tylo situation goes, I'm thinking about just adding another tank here and then putting 5 nuclear engines on it for the Tylo landing. That's what I'm thinking right now. That would give us the thrust to weight, in theory. In theory. So this is reasonably fine. We're almost in position for this burn, and we'll warp on forward. We're almost certainly going to need to do an inclination change to get ourselves where we want to be, but that's fine. It's a little bit cumbersome, the turning on this. We might want to also consider adding reaction wheels on top of each of these stacks. Might not be the worst of ideas. And for Tylo, we should probably also consider adding some RTGs. But 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Okay, so we're now just going to burn our way through here and bring our periapsis on down. We're actually going up right now. Slightly awkward. Okay, bringing our periapsis down to about that 20-kilometer marker is about where I wanted it. So this is currently about 100 kilometers. 80, 60, 40, and close enough. That'll do. So we're currently in this orbit. Now, obviously, we're going to want this to be in daylight, and I'm going to want to change our inclination a little bit here, which I don't seem to be able to make a node. Or click on the periapsis. I can set our focus to Moho. I can't pin open the periapsis. I can't make a node. We have electric charge. What is happening here? I cannot do any sort of control. Okay, well, I've seen this before. Usually a game restart fixes it. So I'm going to make a save here, and I'll be right back. Okay, so here we are. I didn't actually restart the game. I just reloaded the save, but that seems to be doing it. We're able to gimbal our engine, so in theory, we should now also be able to create a maneuver node. And I'd like to do that somewhere around here. Yeah, it works fine now. Whatever. So we want to take it up and over this direction. I want to pin open the new periapsis, because we're going to be concerned about where exactly that is, right? I want that to be somewhere around 20 kilometers here. There we go. And this inclination is better, but I think it's not enough. We need to go further this way. To around here or so. That should put us in about the right inclination. So that's fine. Let's align for that. Yeah, I definitely think adding reaction wheels on top of these and then RTGs on top of each of those would be a good addition to this. And then just have a tank here and 5 nuclear engines. That should give us what we need to land on basically anything that is non-atmospheric. Atmospheric landings are, of course, a whole different beast, but we'll get there. So for now, we need to warp on forward. We've got about 27 minutes until this burn, and we're going to burn it right about here. So 30 seconds, 20, 10, and 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. About a 1-minute burn here. And we can definitely warp through this a little bit. Oh, we're not actually making any progress on the burn. Okay, that was a bug. We were eating Delta V, right? I didn't look at that, but I think we were. Yeah, we're eating Delta V and we're not making progress on the burn. Yeah, apoapsis and periapsis isn't moving at all. I think that's what happened to us last episode when we did our test burn here. So I guess we just don't want to warp this. Okay. That's definitely a bug. So this timing is wrong because of that. And we just want to watch this bar or just watch our periapsis. Once our periapsis is 20 kilometers, it'll be fine. Cool. So we just need to change this a little bit. And we're going to have to warp until we're in position for this landing, of course. Okay, about 10 kilometers, 15, and that'll do. Cool. So engine shut down there, and now at the periapsis, I want to come around here, and we're just going to circularize this. Getting rid of a fair amount of our horizontal velocity there. Something along the lines of this, 18 kilometers and 22 kilometers. Okay. It's going to be pretty low, and we're going to have to do a pretty rapid burn in order to burn off our horizontal speed. I'm hoping we've got the thrust to weight to do it this low. If we don't, we can raise our orbit up, and we'll figure that out with maneuver nodes. It shouldn't be a big deal. Okay, so we'll just align here. And let's warp our way around. Only a 23-second burn here. And that'll be in about 40 seconds. 30, 20, 10, and 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Okay, let's bring this on down. So, obviously, we are not in alignment with this right now, and we'll have to wait on that. we'll have to do some warping, probably from the tracking station. We're too low to really warp at this altitude, so that's fine. But what I want to do is, before we do that, I want to check to see what our thrust to weight looks like. And the way I'm going to do that is purely through maneuver nodes. So we're just going to not actually perform the maneuver, but we're just going to plan it. This is good enough. And from here, I want to create a maneuver plan, and I want to do a retrograde burn. Okay. So that leaves us very little margin. Very, very little margin. But in theory, something like this is doable. Cool. Well, let's delete that node for right now, and we're going to need to head back to the KSC. We have to do it via the KSC because if we just go to the tracking station, it doesn't unload this in the background. We need it to unload the ship, which is very strange, but we do need it to do that. And then we go into the tracking station, and we are now able to focus on Moho and warp forward at a fairly high speed. Okay, hang on. I'm thinking right now we're looking at the Terminator here. I think we don't want to go on this pass, but the next one. Yeah. More like up over here. This looks good. So let's then fly the Lander 10. Excellent. And we're going to start up a braking burn sometime around here or so. Okay, we're going to want to do it a little bit later. So timing is going to put us about... Come on, let me grab this. Very small position that we can actually do that. So sometime around here. And I'd like to toss in a little bit of radial over here. And have it be something kind of like... this or so. This is giving us very little burn time once we get down there. But we'll adjust that. So that's very, very little leeway, but that's okay. For the time being, we'll just park on that node. But we're going to want to be on surface retrograde in actuality. Almost certainly. So that's fine. We're just going to get ourselves into surface mode. We are going to mostly use this as a timer. And let's go. Okay. I'm a little concerned about this, to be honest. And we're 18 minutes away. Oh, we're only at 4x because of our current altitude. Sure. Our altitude is going to start going back up very shortly, I think. Oh, we've got 6 minutes until the periapsis. Okay, this warp is going to take a little bit. Noted. Okay. So our periapsis is a little bit on the too low side for this warp. That's what's going on right now. And we're not able to warp further. We're still 4 minutes away from the periapsis, so this is going to be going for a while. Well, that's okay. We'll just need to warp forward on 4x. That's the best we can do at this altitude. This is why I intended to have our periapsis and apoapsis both be around 20 kilometers. Didn't nail it. That's okay. Shouldn't be that big of a deal. So we're just going to park this on surface retrograde here. We can see that our speed is 800.6, but that's going to be going down after we pass the periapsis. So we should be pretty much on a correct trajectory here, although we're going to end up undershooting this, I think, a little bit. As long as we land nearby enough, it's fine. This thing is not maneuverable enough to really do any, like, fine-tuned on-approach maneuvers, because if we pop back up and start going back down, it's not very maneuverable. we'll have a hard time turning in time, I think. So that's fine. That's something that could probably be handled with those reaction wheels on top here that I was talking about. So I think that's okay. I think that's absolutely fine. We're past the periapsis now, so we're going to be slowing down in our surface velocity. And we're starting to go back up. So that's looking good. We've still got about another 10 minutes to warp here, but it's okay. 16 minutes to apoapsis, so we're going to be most of the way to apoapsis by the time we start this burn. That's fine. It's not necessarily ideal. But it's okay. About 9 minutes to this burn at this point, and we should be far enough away from the periapsis quite soon here for us to warp a little bit faster. That would be nice. Let's actually take this out of the warp and redo it. Okay. I just wanted to check. I've experienced it not upgrading our warp speed in the past. For now, it seems to be okay. So our ground altitude is about 10 kilometers. We're definitely a little bit concerned about how low we're coming in here. Thrust to weight is going to be a potential issue. But that's why I want to just sit on surface retrograde once we're in position for this burn. Just checking this again. Yep, seems okay. We're about 6 minutes to our burn at this point. I would have expected us to be able to go normal warp at this point. Maybe not quite yet, but it should be very, very close. Okay, so 795.4 meters per second here. You can see our required DV is 799 here. It's going to be dicey, and the reason... There we go. The reason why I say this is going to be dicey is 100% due to the fact that we are not going to have a lot of margin for dealing with the gravitational pull. And I actually started this burn slightly late, but that's okay. So I'm going to actually hold this on the maneuver node for right now. It's very close together, but once that maneuver node starts shifting up this direction, I'm absolutely going to follow it. We're going to go to the maneuver node fairly soon here. Or rather, the retrograde node, not the maneuver node. We've got about a minute and a half left on this burn, and we're continuing to slow this on down. As long as we have enough thrust to weight here to bring ourselves to a stop before we hit the ground, it's okay, right? That's the main concern here. I'm watching that maneuver node. It has started to move, or rather, I'm watching the retrograde node. It has started to move. I want to hold here for a little bit longer. I think the last minute of this burn will move to the retrograde node. So about 5 seconds more. 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Moving to the retrograde node and getting rid of the maneuver node. Extending landing legs. And let's just bring this guy right on down. I think we're okay as far as speed goes. I don't think we have a problem here. We're still 13 kilometers up. Yeah, 300 meters per second and 13 kilometers up seems okay. We're continuing to slow down here. We're definitely going to be shooting a little bit past this, which was expected, for sure. But we're starting to transition into more fighting gravity at this point. And I'm actually going to hold position here for a moment. I want to get rid of as much of this horizontal DV as we can. So let's push this up, and I actually want to push this over and start going the opposite direction a little bit. We've overshot the Gourmand, and I want to do something like this. Nice. Bringing it around, we are basically pure vertical right now, and now we're starting to go the other way a little bit. I'm going to take us over to the retrograde node. Cool. So at this point, I'm going to shut down our engines, and we're just going to stick as close to the retrograde node as we can. You can see how hard of a time we have actually following the retrograde node when we're not burning. So I would like to land maybe like somewhere around here. I'm not sure. This looks pretty rough, this terrain. But we'll see what it ends up looking like. We're about 8 kilometers up right now. We're definitely good as far as the thrust to weight goes. So I'm going to let this fall for something like... I think we'll start our braking burn once we hit about 5 kilometers from the ground. So we'll just let this accelerate and drift out this way for a bit. 120. Cool. We're 6 kilometers from the ground. Starting the braking burn now. Okay, I'm watching our deceleration. It looks good. We've got plenty of time here. We're definitely not right on the money, but I don't necessarily want to be. That terrain over there looks very, very rough. So down over here seems okay. I want to be on a slight deceleration at this point, but maybe not like a full deceleration. We're heading down to be like right here. Hopefully that's not too bad of terrain. We'll see what it looks like. We're about 2 kilometers up right now, moving about 60 meters per second. And we're definitely landing a little bit away from the Gourmand, but that's okay. I want to accelerate a little bit faster, or rather decelerate a little faster here. We're moving at 50 meters per second. I would like to be, at this point, closer to 10. So let's turn up our engine a little bit. Maybe up over here would be a little bit better, but like I was saying, I don't think that we're going to really have the maneuverability to do too much of that. Okay, so just doing a very slow deceleration here. Hopefully it's not too bad as far as the terrain here goes. Don't want to be going down this, that's for sure. Landing here might not be a bad idea. Okay, we're at 10 meters per second right now. I'm throttling us down a little bit, but that's a little too much. Okay, more like here. Hopefully it's just reasonably flat in this spot. If not, we can try to land somewhere else, but maneuverability is a concern. I'm letting ourselves accelerate a little bit here. In fact, I'm going to cut the engines, and we'll accelerate up to about 20 meters per second. Okay, resuming our burn, and we're decelerating. Okay, somewhere around here or so. We're still 300 meters away from the ground at this point. I'm hoping this is reasonably flat here. You know what? We might be better off not being on our landing legs. I don't know. For the moment, we should be decelerating. It actually does kind of look reasonably flat right here. Let's decelerate a little bit more. Kicking up Regolith. Continuing our deceleration. Putting us in up. Ooh. Ooh. Do we have this under control? No, we don't. Okay, we're going to have to try again. Yikes. 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 Okay, this is going to go badly. We don't have any control here. Hang on. If we can get this stood back up, then we might be okay here. I don't know about taking off. Taking off here is going to be questionable. I definitely think we retract our landing legs. And we're just kind of resting on these solar panels. Okay. So this is, of course, problematic, and that was my concern with trying to take off again like that. I don't know if we have any way to get ourselves back vertical. Let's have Jeb EVA. Turn on your RCS, please, Jeb. And Jeb is going to want to run his experiments, of course. And we're going to want to head over to the Gourmand. The question is, can we get this thing back vertical? The answer is maybe. I'm going to give that a hard maybe. I highly doubt Jeb can actually lift this. But we might be able to... Yeah, there's no way. Jeb can't even over... Well, actually, you can on Moho. You can barely overpower the gravitational pull. It's extremely barely, though. Especially when you've got this going on. So, that's all fine. How do we get this back vertical, though? Right? That's the question. Well, Jeb needs to head over to the Gourmand. So I definitely think that the idea of having additional reaction wheels on top of this, I think that's incredibly important. No doubt about that. Let's grab this and let's board. So, as a hypothetical, if we looked to take off by just going this way, there is a drop-off there, and in theory, eventually, we'd be able to use this as a ramp. The question is, would these tanks survive it? I don't know. I have a sneaking suspicion that the answer to that is no. I kind of want to try it. But we need to go over to the Gourmand first. But that timing doesn't really work out because it's time to put a cut in here. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to quick save here. We're going to revert. I want to just try this and see what happens. I'm sure things are going to go horribly wrong, but I'm really curious. Yeah, so it went horribly wrong. I was really curious. Now, we might actually be able to make that work, though. And I'll tell you how. I want to continue trying this for the moment. So let's reload that save that we just made. And here's the way that we might be able to make it work. By simply, slowly going this way. Keeping our throttle very low and just sliding over the surface like this. Then, once we get to the top of the hill, our surface velocity is a little higher than I want. Once we get to the top of the hill here, then we use this as a ramp and accelerate and just bring ourselves to up, right? So we just keep our speed low here. We just lost our solar panels. That's understood. Now we throttle it up. Okay, that didn't exactly work. Speed got a little too high there, but I think we can make this work. I'm going to try it again. One more time here. With the idea being, we're just going to be in hold attitude, because before I put it into up, this time I'm going to put it into hold attitude, and we're just going to keep it very slow. I want to head out over here. We're going to need a little bit more thrust than this. But not that much thrust. This is too much thrust. Okay. We lost those solar panels. I don't care about that. I kind of do care about going this way. I don't really want to go this way. Interesting. Well, we're now going a bit downhill instead of uphill. I wonder if that's better for us. Or worse. What I really want here, we're moving at like 15 meters per second, which is a lot of speed. What I really want here is to just shoot out this way and overpower gravity, right? Our engines are not, like, our tanks are not taking the strain there. We're so close to taking off. I think we can actually do this. I think we can actually do this. It's just going to be a matter of pulling it off. It'll take a lot of tries, and this is not exactly, this is all simulated, right? But this will take a lot of tries, and it's very interesting for sure. We know that the crash tolerance here seems to be, yeah, we just lost those solar panels. We know that the crash tolerance there appears to be about 16 meters per second. Now that's interesting. We lost those tanks, and of course that gives us huge thrust offset, and we're not really controllable without those tanks. But I think that's a proof of concept right there. So I think we can actually do this. It's going to take some time. Absolutely. It's going to take... We're going to have to figure out a technique, and I'm going to mostly do that off camera. We'll figure out a way to do this. I think this is a doable thing. Another thing we could do is we could just ditch these tanks once they blow up like that and just achieve orbit with this and send out another rescue craft. That's a possibility too. We could do it that way. As long as we get this into orbit, it's all good. So that is definitely some interesting options. Now, if we were to extend our landing legs here, that tries to angle us down, right? We kind of want to have these solar panels because they push us in the up direction a little bit. So that's definitely interesting. I think there is a way to do this. Another thing that we might want to try, in theory, is getting ourselves turned around and going up this. I don't know that that would actually be all that great. What I really want to do is get ourselves going up a hill. We're kind of facing down a hill right now, right? So let's give this one additional try here. And I'm just working on turning us out over this direction. Okay. I mean, obviously, we're going too fast right now. We lose those solar panels. That's very interesting, though. I was noticing that we were very, very close there to being able to get our nose off the ground. So, the idea would be that we would make for something kind of like this. Our speed is a little too high right now. So it would be something down here. This is all still simulated. I think this is recoverable. From here, we would just throttle like this and go into up. We lost this tank. That's a proof of concept, though. This is doable. We can recover this. Okay, beautiful. So, we're going to reload one more time here. And what I'm going to do now is we need to send Jeb over to the Gourmand. We know that we need to go there, and that's going to take a little while to get there, right? So we're going to head over, and next episode, we are going to have that mission be complete. So it's going to take a little while for Jeb to get there, that's for sure. But we'll just head over, and then the question is, can we make it out of there? Or make it out of here relatively intact? Losing that one fuel tank, I suspect, was actually manageable. I suspect that that would have been okay. So Jeb needs to make his way over to the Gourmand. It'll be a little bit tedious, but that is okay. So we're just going to head on over, and I want to grab the stuff this episode so that I can just cut out going back. And then next episode, we can do our takeoff. That's the idea here. But yeah, I think we successfully have proven at this point that we can certainly get that thing taken off again. It's just going to be a matter of execution. So we're working on getting Jeb slowed down here. He is just about to the Gourmand. Okay, he's overshooting a little bit. Down you go, Jeb. Okay, Jeb. You're definitely overshooting. We've used about half of the monoprop. We want to maintain some level of monoprop, of course. So here we are. We can grab our research opportunity. We did not finish our mission, though. Hang on. Do we just have to return science from here? We might have to return science from here. Let's double check that. Yeah, go ahead and run your experiment, Jeb. I want to head to mission control real quick. Return a surface sample report. Okay, that is fine. So let's go back to the tracking station. Let's grab Jeb. So we just need to return that report. Yeah, I think this is super doable at this point. So we'll load up Jeb. And yeah, I think that our primary issue over here was that, and I just want to plant this flag as long as we're here. Delicious. That is how you spell, definitely. Okay, so we should have our surface survey from here. Lowlands and the Croissant. Yes. Okay, so now I'm going to head back, and I'm going to do this off camera, and next episode, we're going to get this thing taken off. I am 99% certain that that is possible. And that is wonderful. So, we'll be back here and ready to take off next episode. Awkward landing was awkward, but it should be okay. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and a very special thank you to all of the channel members for making this very long video possible, including ALS Gamer, Atala, Andy McGar, Ali Lee, Dark Horse, Upper Cumberland Gamers, Nick Smarty, Dimitri H, Punching the Microphone, Tommy, Kentogan, and all the rest. And of course, you. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, you can click the join button down below the video, and as always, I will see you all next time.